back to Drunk on Writing and the latest episode of the Tarantino Dissection. It's brought to you in part through the patronage of Ariya Norinth. Today, in this special dissection excerpt, we're asking the question, why isn't Pulp Fiction told in chronological order? What's the point? Now, Pulp Fiction's made up of three interconnecting stories following our three main protagonists, Jules, Vincent, and Butch. In the film, they're presented in this order. First, our prologue in the diner. Then, the prelude to Vincent Vega and Marcellus Wallace's wife, followed by, naturally, Vincent Vega and Marcellus Wallace's wife. Then on to prelude to the Gold Watch and the Gold Watch proper. Finally, the Bonnie situation, which leads to our epilogue in the diner. That's how they are in the film. However, if they'd been presented to us chronologically, with some artistic merit so as not to completely throw the story out the window, they'd have been in something like this order. First up would be the prelude to Vincent Vega and Marcellus Wallace's wife, followed by not Vincent Vega and Marcellus Wallace's wife, but the Bonnie situation. Then the entire scene in the diner, perhaps cross-cut. Then we'd get to Vincent Vega and Marcellus Wallace's wife, and end with prelude to the Gold Watch and the Gold Watch. You can even pop Walken's speech at the beginning if you wanted to keep it truly chronological, though I think it needs to be coupled with Butch waking up before the fight. But even so, even though all the stories tied together, if the movie went like this would mean Jules' storyline would have been completed halfway through the film, just before he's unceremoniously tossed aside. That we'd spend most of the start of the film following Vincent through his reverse hero and bathroom journey, and we wouldn't have met Butch at all until halfway through. This chronological order, it wouldn't have worked. It wouldn't have delivered a satisfying arc or three-act structure. We wouldn't emotionally connect with it. It'd be ups and downs and an almost haphazard evolution. It'd mean starting right off with Jules and Vincent's Royale with cheese discussion, following them up to the apartment and the eventual shootout/miracle there, back into the car and poor Marvin, onto their meetup with the wolf and Tarantino himself, then off to the diner and that whole thing, followed by the brief introduction to Butch and Marcellus. From there, though, we'd follow Vincent's night through Lance's house, on to picking up Mia, through Jack Rabbit Slim's, through the OD, right until he drops her off back home. Then the movie would completely switch gears over to Butch, who we'd follow until he kills the protagonist we just left behind, and then on to his weird journey and its end. And the very last scene would be Butch and Fabienne riding away on Zed's chopper, the sound of which, and this is a fact, is the very first thing you hear in the movie. Very circular. I kind of dig it. But I honestly didn't realize how bad a chronological cut would be until I'd written out that monologue that I just finished spouting off. Plus, starting off with Vincent and Jules would almost make this feel like it's not something new, but merely a continuation of Reservoir Dogs. They're not just cracking the same sort of jokes, having the same sort of irreverent conversations. They're practically wearing the same outfits and eating the same food and searching for a suitcase. Are Jules and Vincent from the same crew as Mr. White and Mr. Pink and the others? Is this the same time? Is this a sequel to Reservoir Dogs? Will we be seeing more of that story? Is this all we're going to get from Tarantino? The theories such a beginning would beget would be wild. The distaste would be palpable. And all that just from starting the film without a short prologue. And even with that, early reviews still called out the similarity. I mean, just imagine how that late in the film switch up of protagonists would go over. I can tell you, not well. Plus, honestly, with everything that happens in this story, putting it in chronological order wouldn't give us any time to digest, to appreciate anything. And there's a lot to digest and appreciate in this film.
Would you give a guy a foot massage?
This has been a Drunk on Writing dissection excerpt exploring Pulp Fiction's curious, non-chronological order. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to check out the other excerpts or the full Pulp Fiction dissection. And if you'd like more episodes like these, please subscribe to the channel or head on over to drunkonwriting.com where you can get more episodes more often. Until next time, cheers, and keep on writing.